Hi guys. So welcome to yet another episode of Paddle Sweep. It's finally time. After an enthralling IPL season, we are back. So a big change in shift from T20 to Test cricket. The W Test Championship final is here, and it's India versus Australia. So two top class teams, I'd say. Both have some
Yeah,
key players in top form. Some key players missing for both the sides as well. And the best part being it's a neutral venue. So I
yeah.
truly reckon that this is going to be a classic. I hope it's not the same for India as it was last time against New Zealand, but again, yeah. To be honest, I would not say like it's been the best 2 years of Test cricket for Team India, but here we are, and it's going to be some game. I feel so. How excited are you, Charlene? And what do we expect from the Kia Oval today?
Well, I am pretty excited, and if you really look at it, it's a World Cup final. I don't think the buzz in the community is such for this final. A lot of people aren't looking at it as a World Cup final. A lot of people, I would say, aren't even aware of the final as much as a cricket fan would be. But that being said, this is very crucial, especially because of the way uh, most cricketing nations have tried to sort of resurrect the status of Test cricket in the past few years. This becomes a very critical junction in that regard. And yeah, well, India's drought for an ICC trophy might just end in the next this weekend. So yes, it is a big moment for an Indian Test cricket fan, and I'm pretty excited, and especially because of the venue. I would say uh, Test cricket in England is always
Yeah.
very beautiful to watch, with the ball swinging, with the quick outfields, and everything. It'll be interesting to see how the venue plays out. Uh, but yeah, I'm excited about the final.
What do you think Kia Oval has to offer, like for both the teams?
Um, from what I've seen, so Kennington is the home ground for Surrey in the county championship, and I looked at the squads for the Surrey team this season in the past few months, and it looks like they are going in favor of four pacers and one part-time spinner. So that was a little bit of a surprise, considering India has done well when it has played its two spinners, the spin twins of Test, I would say Jadeja and Ashwin. But yeah, so in that regard, I would say India will have to make a couple of tough choices, because
Yeah.
Ashwin, being the veteran that he is, it becomes a little tough to drop him, because he's the kind of spinner that can actually pull out something even on non-spinning tracks. So that would be a headache for India, but I'm sure they've made up their mind, as we are only 1 hour away from the final. And yeah, so I don't know if it will be a spinning track, but from the images that I've seen, there is a fair bit of grass covering. So that only strengthens my point that it could be a four pacer game, this one. And England would definitely not, sorry, Australia would definitely not play two spinners. They
Oh,
will
yeah.
go with Lyon and a part timer. But
Yeah.
for India, I think it'll be a tough choice to make. And there is a chance that they might go for Shardul, but let's discuss that later. So yeah, the ground looks good. It'll be a good contest. The teams batting first and second have almost similar record of winning. I don't think the toss would play that big of a role as much as it plays in some other conditions. But so
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a even contest in that regard.
I see. So moving on to the Indian squad. So I think a lot of spaces are kind of not up for question, but there are like
Yeah,
about two, three spots where people have like, contradictory opinions. So I think I do see Rohit Sharma and Gill opening with Pujara at
yeah.
3, Kohli at 4, the rejuvenated Rahane at 5. And then I see Jadeja playing above the wicketkeeper at 6. And
Hmm.
and then let's say you have the two pacers who are fixed, Shami and Siraj.
Yeah.
And then there are like three spots over there which is up for grabs, I'd say. I do think that the wicketkeeper decision is not that straightforward, although KS Bharat might get the nod, but I think Ishan Kishan has a good chance of playing as well, being the left-hander, and
Yeah.
there are some resemblance of his play to what Rishabh Pant used to offer as an
Pant, yeah.
attacking lower order batsman in Test cricket. So that's one question I'd say. The other question I'd want your opinion on is basically Shardul Thakur or Ravichandran Ashwin. So that is essentially what you spoke about, right? 4 pacers or 3
Yeah.
pacers. And then I believe the third decision which the management will be making is playing Umesh Yadav or Jaydev Unadkat. So what do you think on these points?
I think I'll tackle the easiest one, the earliest, and I don't think there is a question between Umesh and Jaydev Unadkat. Unadkat has done well for Saurashtra. No, I do acknowledge that he has had good form in the past couple of domestic seasons. He came back to the Indian fold as well. So yeah, good on him. But I don't think he'll be playing instead of Umesh. Umesh has the swing, he has the sharp pace, and he is an experienced person as long as he's completely fit, of which I am sure because of what I've heard on other broadcasts. So if Umesh is fit, I think he will get the nod above Unadkat in my opinion because of the sheer experience of playing in the conditions and his experience as a test bowler and his skill set. So that I'll go with Umesh in that one. On Shardul Thakur, I think he has proven himself in English conditions before. He manages to swing the ball a little. I don't think his variations really come into play. I think with Shardul, the most important, the reason he ends up taking wickets is they don't really, people underestimate how quick he can be. There are a couple of deliveries in the over that he will touch 140, and so that with Shardul, you just don't know what the next ball will be. So he brings in that factor, and he might just that might just work out in his favor. That being said, his IPL form was not at all something to be talked about. He did bat well in a couple of innings. That's in his favor. But I would definitely not want to play Shardul, but you don't have any other option when it comes to the fourth seamer.
Yeah.
And you are very tempted to play Ashwin as well because of the sheer number of wickets and the number of left-handers in the Australian batting lineup, and he has had the better of Warner and Smith and even other players. Yeah. So that does play in his favor, and he's the kind of spinner that can end up taking wickets even when the track isn't spinning all that much. On the other hand, Jadeja might not get wickets on a track that doesn't support spinners. So if Ashwin, I would ideally want to play Ashwin instead of a Jadeja, but I think Jadeja's batting is far more superior at this point to even question that. So as you said, top 6 is more or less final. Rahane's place, I don't think, is under question because we don't really have anyone to even replace him. India didn't get a lot of time to even try out Surya. Shreyas could have been the option, but obviously he's out. So top 5 and Jadeja are fixed. When it comes to wicket keeping, yes, India would be tempted to play Ishan Kishan because of how destructive he can be in just a matter of a session. He can take the game away from the opposition. As you mentioned, he's very similar to Pant in that regard. I don't think Ishan's keeping is questionable, but at the same time, it is risky to, go in with a keeper who has not really played a test match and who doesn't really play domestic test cricket in India as well. He is most of the time he's part of the Indian squad, so he doesn't play a lot of domestic cricket in India as well when you talk about the longer format of the game.
Just to touch upon that, I believe Bharat has been the second keeper for a while. So even though India was touring Australia or England in the past, Bharat has been there. Even though he's not playing, he has kept in those conditions during practice sessions. So and also India has stuck with Bharat for 5-6 games now, I believe. So I think just for that continuity factor, right? I can see Bharat slightly getting the edge, but as a fan, I wouldn't mind if Ishan Kishan plays because of the just the sheer amount of excitement that it brings to the team.
Yeah. And also, I think we haven't seen enough of KS Bharat's batting. He is a top order batsman for Tamil Nadu, regularly plays in the number 4, 5 spot. So he is a capable enough batter. It's just that we haven't seen enough of him on the international circuit yet. That I think they will go with KS Bharat. With the way Indian team has been making decisions, they want to make sure that there is some consistency in selections. So I think they will go with KS Bharat. I would be very surprised if they go with Ishan Kishan, although I wouldn't completely rule it out.
Correct.
But yeah.
So what do you think is the
Uh,
final playing 11 for India?
I think top six: Gill, Rohit, Pujara, Kohli, Rahane, and Jadeja comprise the top six. Then 9, 10, 11 would be your Shami, Siraj, and Umesh. Seven and eight is what we ideally need to talk about. 7, 8, and
Yeah,
7 and 8.
thanks to Mesh too as
So
well.
so you need a spinner and you need a wicketkeeper for sure, which is Bharat. So Bharat plays 7. Now number 8, it's Ashwin or Shardul.
Shardul,
I would honestly go with Shardul because you need 4 pacers. We have looked at the past squads of past playing 11s of all the match past in the past couple of months, and it would be a suicide to go with 3 pacers on a English track which offers a lot of sea movement. You just need a fourth one. It's not about Ashwin, it's about getting a fourth seamer in my opinion.
Yeah.
And since Shardul is the only option and he gives some batting as well, so I would have to. It'll be a tough call, but I see Shardul playing.
And do you
I,
see Akshat Patel getting his chance?
No, I don't think Aksar is in contention when at this point because I would honestly think that if they want another spinner, it has to be Ashwin. The only reason Jadeja plays instead of Ashwin is because of his batting and because of what he's done in the past couple of seasons. Otherwise, I would be tempted to even go for Ashwin instead of Jadeja, but I don't think that's going to be the way. But yeah, I think Shardul, it's going to be very tough for Indian team as well. And just because of seniority, I mean, they might just go with Ashwin, but they need 4 pacers, in my opinion.
I see. I think I kind of
What do you think?
agree to most of it. I believe Ashwin and Bharat do play. I do think there's a chance Jaidev Unadkat gets a game instead of Umesh Yadav. Largely because Umesh Yadav's second half of the IPL wasn't that great. He was carrying an hamstring injury, and there are like news that he's like doing really well in the nets before the game. But there might be a possibility that India go with a left-arm bowler as well because Jaidev Unadkat has had a really good season. He has won the trophy with Saurashtra this time, and I believe that he can offer something which India doesn't necessarily have had in the past. So, KS Bharat, Ravichandran Ashwin, and Jaidev Unadkat is what I call.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Unadkat does have a lot of things working in his favor, especially the left armor thing, and he does swing the ball as well. So he's a experienced enough bowler.
Got it.
So yeah, let's find out. Should we move on to the Australian squad then?
Yeah, for sure. Also slight.
Not a lot of changes. I would say not a lot of doubts in my mind what the playing 11 for Australia would be. But how does the bowling look for Australia with Hazelwood out?
I think Hazelwood is a big miss, but their bowling is really good. Without a shadow of doubt, Cummins, Stark, Nathan Lyon is as experienced as ever. Cameron Green is there, and then you put in that fourth pacer in Scott Boland also. So, and Scott Boland has I don't think he has played a lot of games against India, or he hasn't played any, but he has had a good season for Australia in Test cricket. So, and with the Australian Pacers, right? You always have one of the Pacers injured for a long while now, with Stark out or Hazelwood out. So it's not that Scott Boland is lacking experience. So I believe their bowling looks really good. Nathan Lyon is good, and as you said, like their 11 kind of selects themselves pretty straightforward. I think like the two lefties on the top of the order with David Warner and the rejuvenated Usman Khwaja. Then I think 3 is Labuschagne, 4 is Smith, 5 is Head. I'm absolutely excited to see Head play this time.
Yeah, Head. Yeah.
6 would be Cameron Green, 7 would be Kerry. and then the four bowlers that we talked about. So the three pacers in start, Cummins, Boland, and then the spinner in Nathan Lyon. So although they might be tempted to play Todd Murphy, who had a really good game against India, but then again, as you said, like
I don't think
it's England. So if it would have been the subcontinent, I could have gone that route. But I do see only one spinner playing for them.
Yeah. And there is one point that I wish to address when it comes to the Australian team. Australian players, most of them in the squad haven't been part of the IPL. So a lot of them haven't really played any level international or even county cricket. Most of them, at least, haven't had the backing of runs behind them when you talk about the batsmen. So how do you think that is going to play out? Because on one hand, there is India, which has had a long IPL season, so you can expect a tired Indian side. On the other hand, there is the fresh Australian side with very little cricket behind them, which is also not a great thing. How do you think that's going to affect?
This works both ways. I think you're hitting the nail on its head, because there's something called as confidence in sport, and it brings about a lot of things which people do not expect it to bring. So Indian players have had that stretch from the IPL, as you said. Someone like an Ajinkya Rahane, you can easily see him perform really good in this IPL, in the Test Championship final, just because he had a real swing in momentum in his batting form. So, and similarly the other way around, draining out in this level of sport is not very like, we do see people struggling with fatigue, fitness issues, and not up to their level best, which I feel the Australian pace attack would be, because both Cummins and Stark and Boland, like all three of them didn't play IPL. Cameron Green also didn't bowl a lot in the IPL, whereas Shami, Siraj, both of them were like their franchisee's top bowlers. So, and Shami won the purple cap as well. So it works both ways. Shami's confidence might actually see him perform really well, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few loose deliveries and a lot of bowling changes in the middle by Rohit Sharma, just because of the long, tiring IPL season.
Also, I think India's tiring squad might also actually result in playing a fourth pacer, because if you have only three pacers and two of them have had a full IPL season, then you might actually need a fourth one just to have shorter spells. That being said, I think Shami is my player to look out for, because the kind of rhythm that he's in, and with English conditions, he is already. And if you look at it, Shami has picked up a lot of wickets in the power play bowling the test match line, which has kind of been the standout for me in this IPL. Even Siraj, for that matter, has focused on lines and lengths instead of variations and bowled really well. So while people like Shami and Siraj, who already have hit that line, might find that easier to get going right from the start. For people like Cummins and Boland, they might need a couple of sessions to kind of adjust and get their line and lengths right. So that might actually work out well for India. And because of that reason, I think India might just go with bowling first as well.
Who do you reckon from the Australian team as the player to look out for?
It's going to be a pacer, honestly, because I think this match, each innings, if in one of the innings as well, a team manages to reach 450, I'm sure the team won't lose. So, and it is very difficult to do so. So I think it'll be a 250 to 350 kind of first innings from both sides. So bowling becomes very critical, because if a 40-50 run deficit could actually turn out to be match changing. I would go for Cummins. Boland, I haven't seen all that much, although he is very promising, but I would definitely go for Cummins from the Australian team. He being the captain, leading from the front, being the spearhead bowler, I would really want to see how he manages to upset the Indian batsman. And Cummins versus Gill and Rohit will be interesting because we haven't really talked about Gill yet, but he's been in red hot
I think,
form. The kind of yeah,
I think the two players which I really want to talk about is, of course, Shubman Gill is one, and second would be Manas Labuschagne. I think Shubman Gill with the form he's in, right, and just not the IPL. People always have this recency bias that he has had an awesome IPL and then he'll be doing all sorts of things in the final. His form before that was even good. He was he scored a double century against New Zealand, and then he had like some really good scores in T20 cricket, in ODIs, even in Test match cricket. So I think his
a century in each format. Yeah.
Overall, if you look at his recent form, like 6-8 months, he has been in good form, and I really think he is the player to look out for in this Test Championship final for India. If he gets going, right, there are two things which happen in India's favor. One, I think he gets those runs and India cross that 300 mark, which I feel is very important. And second, I think he relieves a lot of pressure from Rohit Sharma's end. So, and if that happens as well, right? Rohit Sharma hasn't got a big score, and in one of these World Test Championship finals, we all know what kind of tournament he had in 2019 in England, right? Absolutely demolished bowlers all over the place. So if that happens, I believe India has a good chance of sealing the victory here. So Shubman Gill has to be there to look out for from India. And then coming to Australia, I think it's Marnus Labuschagne. He had a terrible tour, I'd say. He's the world number one batter, and he didn't perform well coming to India last time around. So he'll have something to prove. And I think he's been playing county cricket as well in England, and he is a top batter. There's no question about that. He plays at 3. He is everything what a number 3 should have, and he is someone who has a point to prove. No, there were a lot of criticism, and that too, like, if you play against India, right, it's one of those high-profile teams, and if you don't perform, people were questioning his ability to perform in big games. And I am really looking forward to see how Manas Labuschagne adapts, and I hope he doesn't, but he might be the player of the match for me if Australia wins.
I think one player that I do want to mention is Pujara. I think he is someone who is going to hold the batting together for India. See, Kohli and Rahane are in great form. Rohit can get back to form. Gill is in great form. So in that top 5, Pujara is the only player who can sort of act as the glue to just hold this batting together, especially with the way he's performed in the recent county games that he's played. And I think he has gone past 57 or 8 times, and all of those times he's managed to convert them into 100. So that just reflects a really good state of mind for Pujara. And I think he's finally at a stage where he's kind of given up on everything else. There is no lurking around the T20 fold anymore, trying to get into an IPL contract. All that's past him. I think he has a couple of really good seasons of Test cricket ahead of him. I'm very, very excited to see how Pujara plays, not just in this game, overall in this season of Test cricket as well. Yeah. And also Umesh might just come out as the trump card for India in terms of bowling, because he is also that kind of bowler. He can bowl that one delivery. He may bowl 4 bad deliveries, but he has that one delivery that's just unplayable. So I think Umesh will definitely play, in my opinion.
Got it. I think that's what we had from us. What do you think would be the prediction? Who wins this?
I would say India, and bowlers will pick up a lot of wickets, and either Gill or Pujara might just be my man of the match.
I see. I think the first session is the one which dominates the game. Whosoever team wins the first session, day 1, session 1, wins the Test match.
Well, I think we're just moments away from the toss too. I'm not sure what's happening. It's past 2:30, but the toss hasn't happened. There is a bit of the weather pitch report says there is a bit of wind and it's overcast. There will be swing. So India might just be tempted to go with bowling, and there is great bounce as well. Win the
That's your
toss and
Shardul
bowl.
Thakur playing, man.
Win the toss and bowl is what Kumar Sangakkara has said in his pitch report,
I
and
see.
we haven't reached the toss yet, but let's find out soon enough. That's it from our side. See you after a couple of sessions of Test cricket, and let's find out how India fares. Thank you.